In this video, I will analyze which of the ice cream flavors is the optimal choice for the upcoming Splatfest. Never start a paper that way outside of class where the teacher explicitly tells you to do so, by the way. We do that so that we, as graders, know what it is you think you're arguing in case your evidence doesn't back it up, not because it at all sounds interesting or convincing. The choice of flavors here was really interesting. It gets really close to being the three well-known flavors of Neapolitan ice cream: vanilla, strawberry, and chocolate, three of the most popular ice cream flavors in the world overall. Neapolitan itself is one of the most popular flavors, but despite that chocolate isn't even the least favorite of the three, that generally being strawberry and all the data that I found Googling, chocolate actually got dropped in favor of mint chip. Mint chip is one of the most polarizing ice cream flavors I know. People either live for it or they really don't get why anyone likes it, and there's not much in between. The choice to include it in the Splatfest is pretty clever, because being as polarizing as it is, it'll be sure to have both stalwart fans, and there are a lot of those, it is still very popular, and scornful detractors, which is a great mix for settling it all in turf war. It's perfectly on brand as a Big Man flavor, Big Man being the odd one out in Deep Cut. The flavor also translates really well into a unique color palette. They've tried brown ink before, and boy was that a mistake. Splatoon's visual design is more readable because the maps are neutral colors, muted earth tones, grays, browns, while the ink colors are vibrant, bright, heavily saturated. That way, even though most of the map may be covered and you don't have as much visual context for what the ink is covering up, when you see a spot that's unpainted, you can tell it's unpainted rather than being painted in a different color. But when you make the ink color brown, now it's harder to tell what you're looking at. It also makes it more difficult to spot splashes in the ink and detect enemy players using that color. With mint chip, though, you've got this really unique pastel green color that works really well as a Splatoon ink color and contrasts the opposing cream and pink colors very nicely. I personally have never had the taste for mint chip, which makes me a disappointment to my father, who definitely tried to get me into it. It's not for lack of trying that I don't get it, that's for sure. But if you do like mint chip, you weren't going to be unconvinced by that anyway, and I know you're already flying the Big Man flag outside your house. Strawberry ice cream, like the fruit itself, has a ton of potential. Good strawberries picked at the right time have one of the highest peaks as a fruit. They can be so sweet, so tasty. The ice cream itself, made well, can be incredible. Some of the best ice cream I've ever had has been strawberry flavored. Unfortunately, some of the worst has also been strawberry flavored. Strawberries that aren't quite as ripe as they should be, ice cream that's made a little bit more lazily with more of a mass market in mind than a local clientele. It's unfortunately very common, so I never really get my hopes up when I'm offered strawberries or strawberry ice cream. I'd rather be pleasantly surprised that it's good than expect it to be good and be so frequently disappointed. There are definitely distinctions in quality between cheap and well-made vanilla or mint chip ice cream, but the floor they all start at is way higher than the floor for strawberry. Even the worst vanilla or mint chip is still going to be fine. It's going to be what you expect of it. A weak strawberry, though, can be kind of depressing. While mint chip might be polarizing, vanilla is definitely the most unique ice cream flavor. That may sound strange, but hear me out. Vanilla has long been considered a plain or boring flavor, to the point where people consider it default or unflavored ice cream to be augmented with other flavors. I disagree with that, because vanilla clearly has a distinct flavor different from just sugar and cream or whatever. It's just a flavor that's compatible with so many other flavors that it serves as a really good base for just about any ice cream sundae. It's not plain, it's versatile. It reminds me a lot of an overplayed song or a tired out meme. It's a common phenomenon that when a song really takes off, it gets played in so many places so many times to capitalize on its popularity that people hear it too much and get sick of it. This often leads to people having a negative response to a song and lashing out at the song itself, and I think this is the wrong way to direct your frustration. Give that song 10 years and come back to it again, and you're probably going to feel really nostalgic for it. Songs tend to get that big for a reason, and the ones that stick around and stay in people's rotations past their moment are usually some of the best their generation had to offer. I sure feel for Lynyrd Skynyrd getting Freebird yelled at them by the audience thousands and thousands of times and always having to play this long 9-minute song, soloing over those same repetitive chords over and over until they're kind of out of ideas for what new things to do with it. But that's not to say the audience was wrong to want to hear it. It's a great song, provided you've listened to it only a reasonable number of times. A very similar phenomenon happens with songs that become memes. Think about something like All-Star by Smash Mouth.
Somebody.
You know the song I mean already. These days, whenever someone plays it, a lot of people's minds immediately switch to meme mode, understanding the song as something silly and absurd to be inserted into a video they're watching or something. But when that song came out, it was a genuine, unironic hit. It was used to great effect, setting the tone at the beginning of Shrek, which was one of the better movies to come out that decade, and I'll die on that hill. I remember when someone turned that song on in an elementary school cafeteria and hearing like 5 classrooms worth of elementary schoolers becoming overjoyed to hear a song they knew and start singing along with it. Did they know what the words meant? Of course not. They were like in first grade or something. The lyrics are actually a reference to another movie and outline the motivations of a pretty nuanced satirical character from that movie, commenting on a uniquely American sort of naive optimism that an elementary schooler is just not going to comprehend at that level. But it was catchy and unique for its time, and it brought a lot of people together. And that cafeteria of singing kids is one of my happier memories from that time in my life. If you can separate the irony poisoning that meme songs like that undergo on the internet from your experience of them, put a wall in your mind between the social pressure to laugh at them and just try to experience them as if for the first time and take them seriously, they often turn out to be actually pretty incredible works of art. There's a reason they catch on in the first place. They wouldn't do that if they were forgettable. They'd fade into obscurity like any other top 40 pop hit that got to the top purely due to studio investment and never gave people anything worth remembering after their time was up. I have very similar feelings about the memification of Megalovania from Undertale. This wasn't even a song that got radio playtime as far as I've ever known, but it was played so overwhelmingly often on the Spotify playlists of nerds whose cars you drove in that it's basically become overplayed in our communities anyway. There have been memes for years about Sans Undertale, Funny Skeleton Man, and people will protest when the song comes on at all because they're tired of all the jokey jokes. But man, if there's somebody out there who hasn't played Undertale because that whole vibe wasn't for them, please trust me, you need to play that game. It's a true classic of the medium. It will make you feel real, genuine things that most games never even aspire to. The song, Megalovania, it's pretty neat. I do like it as a standalone song, but the way that the song is used in the game, holy crap. It is incredibly serious, very dark, very cinematic. There are some popular things that absolutely are low value, cheap, forgettable, boring, plasticky. Some popular things exist solely to make rich people richer and deserve to be mocked. But I think a lot of people get into the mindset that if it's popular, I will make fun of it, and I will seem cool, like I'm above what the masses like. And it makes them really obnoxious to be around, because when something genuinely good gets popular, and we want to share that experience, all they're going to do is meme on it, call it overplayed and derivative, call it boring or plain, too normal for your sophisticated tastes. If we just look past the social context of something being overplayed, overdone, memed on, warped into absurdity through repetition, just forget about that and experience something for what it is, a lot of the time, we find a lot more to enjoy than we remembered. I humbly submit that vanilla ice cream also deserves this attention, that we should reconsider it, not just as the default, not just as boring, as plain, but as something that is absolutely a standalone ice cream flavor, something that tastes good with literally everything else that you put in ice cream, and that I'm happy it exists in the world. So, in conclusion, please don't end your essays like that either. We can already tell it's your last paragraph without being told. My choice for the Splatfest this time around is going to be whatever the other Silly Comp Sunday players decide. We just need to be able to play on the same team. Hope that helps. Bye.
You ready for this?